Welcome to your deep dive. Today we'll be exploring Etidorhpa, a book that's, well, a little out there.
Oh, yeah.
Not just a summary, though. We're going to be sifting through this fantastical story and see what nuggets of knowledge or insight we can unearth.
Etidorhpa is fascinating because the author himself talks about thinking beyond the usual boundaries of science.
Right.
He's clearly interested in exploring ideas that traditional science might not be equipped to handle.
And that's evident right from the get-go.
Yeah.
He describes libraries as cemeteries, filled with these phantom armies of books.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying books are more than just objects. They hold the thoughts and energy of the authors,
Right.
just waiting to be reawakened.
It's an evocative image, isn't it? And I think it speaks to the power of books to connect us to the past, to ideas that might have been considered radical or even dangerous in their time.
Absolutely. And the story behind the Etidorhpa manuscript itself adds to this feeling of hidden knowledge. The author supposedly got it from a mysterious source and then sat on it for 7 years. You have to wonder what was going through his mind during that time.
Right.
What made him hesitate to share it with the world?
It raises interesting questions about the responsibility of sharing knowledge, especially when it challenges conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
If you stumble upon something that could completely change how people view the world,
Right.
do you have an obligation to share it? Or could it be dangerous?
That's a heavy question.
Ah,
It's like finding a map to a hidden treasure. Exciting, but potentially risky. Speaking of hidden knowledge, there's this interesting connection to the Lloyd brothers. These pharmacists who had this massive library filled with rare botanical and pharmaceutical texts.
right. And knowing that the Etidorhpa author had ties to these guys adds another layer to the story.
Right.
Were some of the ideas in the book inspired by these rare texts? Was the author tapping into a hidden world of botanical knowledge that most people didn't even know existed?
It makes you wonder what secrets might be hidden away in those old books, just waiting to be rediscovered. Okay, let's get into the actual story. The narrator has this strange encounter with a visitor who leaves behind a single long white hair. It's such a specific detail, almost like the author is grounding the fantastical elements in something tangible.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is this a clue? Could any of this really be true?
It's a clever way to engage the reader's skepticism.
Right.
We're immediately presented with something strange and unexplained, but it's anchored in this physical object that we can relate to.
Yeah.
It sets the stage for the constant push and pull between belief and disbelief that runs throughout the book.
Totally. And in this internal struggle is mirrored in the relationship between the narrator and his friend, the professor. The professor is all logic and reason, dismissing the narrator's experiences as hallucinations.
Right.
But the narrator is adamant that what he saw and felt was real.
I think that dynamic is something a lot of people can relate to, especially when dealing with experiences that fall outside the realm of what we consider normal.
Yeah.
We have that inner voice of skepticism, the professor, in our heads, but then there's that part of us that wants to believe in something more, something beyond the limitations of our current understanding.
It's like those late-night conversations with friends, where you debate the existence of ghosts or UFOs, right?
Right.
But then the author throws in another twist by mentioning historical figures like Nikolai and the Marquise and Rambouillet and the Pressy, who experienced similar phenomena.
That's a really smart move because it immediately elevates the story beyond just one man's ramblings. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, there's a historical precedent for what the narrator is going through.
Yeah.
That these seemingly impossible experiences have happened before.
Right.
It opens up this whole realm of possibilities.
It's like he's saying, hey, this isn't just some random story I made up.
Right.
These kinds of things have been documented throughout history.
Yeah.
And then just when you think you're starting to get a handle on things, bam, the narrator gets kidnapped.
Right. And his captors start dropping these cryptic hints about a preordained journey, about hidden knowledge that he's destined to uncover. It shifts the narrative from something that could potentially be explained away by science or psychology to something much more mysterious, almost spiritual.
It's like the author saying, buckle up, we're going deep now.
Yeah.
And that's where the real journey begins, not just a physical journey into the unknown, but a journey into the depths of human consciousness and the mysteries of existence.
And the author doesn't waste any time getting into the deep stuff. As soon as the narrator sets off on his journey, he's thrown into these intense philosophical discussions about time, life, and energy.
Right. It's like the book is tapping into that part of us that craves big answers, that wants to understand the fundamental nature of reality. And then just as we're starting to get comfortable with these heady concepts, the story takes another dramatic turn. The narrator finds himself descending into the cavern system of Kentucky.
And the descriptions of this descent are so vivid,
Yeah.
you can almost feel the darkness closing and the weight of the earth pressing down on you.
It's claustrophobic, right? You can practically smell the damp earth and feel the rough rock against your skin.
Hmm.
And as the narrator goes deeper, the author uses this incredibly evocative image. The struggling ray of sunlight might last for years.
That line gives me chills every time.
Yeah.
It's so final, so absolute. It's like crossing a threshold into another world, a world where the rules of our familiar reality no longer apply.
Yeah.
And that sense of finality of leaving everything behind really sets the stage for what's to come.
It's like entering a tomb or maybe even a womb. You're leaving the world, behind and stepping into something completely unknown, something potentially transformative.
And that transformation starts almost immediately. As the narrator adjusts to the darkness, he's introduced to the concept of earthlight, this zone of illumination deep within the earth.
Yeah. And his guide explains that some animals have adapted to see in this darkness, suggesting that maybe humans have the potential to evolve similar abilities.
It challenges our assumptions about what's possible, right? If other creatures can perceive the world in ways that we can't even imagine what other senses might be lying dormant within us, what other realities might we be blind to?
It's mind-blowing. And speaking of things that are beyond our current understanding, the narrator encounters this incredible world of giant fungi. Plants that have adapted to thrive in this underground environment. It's like something straight out of a science fiction novel.
What's fascinating to me is how the author blends scientific accuracy with pure imagination. He describes these giant fungi in such detail, drawing on real botanical knowledge.
Yeah.
But he also pushes the boundaries of what we currently know about plant life.
It makes you wonder what other bizarre and beautiful life forms might be lurking in the unexplored corners of our planet, or even beyond.
Absolutely. And this theme of challenging conventional wisdom really comes through when the guide introduces the concept of sunshine as the ultimate source of food. He suggests that all matter is just a carrier of this energy and that we could potentially access that energy directly.
Wait, so he's saying that instead of eating plants and animals, we could just absorb sunshine?
It's a radical idea, right? And it goes against everything we think we know about nutrition, but it's also incredibly thought-provoking. What if our understanding of energy and sustenance is completely off? What if there are other more direct ways to fuel our bodies?
I mean, plants do it through photosynthesis,
Right.
so why not us? And this idea of defying conventional thinking continues when the guide demonstrates how salt and water can be separated without evaporation. The narrator is understandably skeptical,
Sure.
but the guide patiently explains the process.
It's like a microcosm of the entire book. We're constantly being challenged to question what we think we know, to consider alternative explanations for phenomena that we might take for granted. And the deeper the narrator goes, the more mind-bending the concepts become.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
We've got weightlessness in the inner earth, decreased energy consumption, and even the possibility of extended lifespan, all tied back to this idea of sunshine as a fundamental source of energy. It's like the author is suggesting a whole new set of physical laws governing this hidden world.
And then there are the philosophical musings on the nature of gravity, the ether, and the limitations of human understanding. It's like the author is pushing us to the very edge of what we can comprehend, inviting us to contemplate the biggest mysteries of the universe.
It's heady stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly exhilarating. And then just when you think your brain can't handle any more mind-blowing concepts, we get this stunning description of an underground lake.
It's unlike anything we've ever seen on the surface, illuminated from below with no shadows. It's a perfect example of how the author uses vivid imagery to transport us to this alien world.
It's like stepping into a surrealist painting. You can almost feel the cool, still air and hear the drip of water in the vast, silent cavern.
And just when you think things can't get any weirder, the guide introduces the concept of inherent energy within matter, explaining how motion can be produced without friction or heat. It's like he's rewriting the laws of physics as we know them.
Okay, now we're really getting into the realm of science fiction. But it's that blend of scientific concepts and wild speculation that makes Etidorhpa so compelling.
Absolutely. And then just as we're getting comfortable with this new understanding of physics, the story takes another heart-stopping turn. The narrator approaches the edge of the Earth's shell, this fathomless abyss that seems to stretch into infinity.
I was literally holding my breath at that part. The author built so much suspense, describing the receding stone and the bottomless void. It's like you're right there with the narrator peering over the edge into the ultimate unknown.
And that sense of the unknown, of venturing into uncharted territory, is at the heart of Etidorhpa.
Yeah.
It's a journey of discovery, not just for the narrator, but for us as readers. We're constantly being challenged to expand our understanding of what's possible, to question our assumptions about the world, and to embrace the mysteries that lie beyond the boundaries of our current knowledge.
But before we plunge into that abyss,
Right.
we'll have to take a break. When we come back, we'll pick up with the narrator's leap of faith and explore the even more mind-bending revelations that await him on the other side.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. When we left off, our narrator was literally standing on the precipice of the unknown, staring into this fathomless abyss at the edge of the Earth's shell.
It was such a powerful image. The way the author described the receding stone and that sense of bottomless void, I have to admit, I was both terrified and completely hooked.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to know what lies beyond the edge of our world?
It's a primal urge, isn't it? That desire to explore, to push beyond the boundaries of the known. But it's also terrifying because it means confronting the limits of our understanding, the possibility that everything we thought we knew might be wrong.
Exactly. And the narrator definitely seems to be wrestling with that fear.
Yes.
He hesitates before taking the plunge, questioning everything, the receding stone, the bottomless void, even his own sanity. I mean, can you blame him?
He's in completely uncharted territory, both physically and mentally. He's being asked to take a leap of faith into the unknown with no guarantee of what awaits him on the other side.
It's like that moment before you jump out of a plane for the first time. You know, you're supposed to trust the parachute, but there's that primal part of your brain that's screaming, this is insane.
And what's interesting is that his guide doesn't try to force him or dismiss his fear. He acknowledges the risk, the uncertainty, and even gives the narrator the option to turn back.
Which is a pretty bold move considering they've come this far. I mean, if I were the guide, I might be tempted to be like, look, we've come too far to turn back now, just jump.
But I think that's what makes the guide such a compelling character. He embodies this balance of wisdom and compassion. He understands the gravity of the situation, but he also respects the narrator's free will.
Right. And it's not just about the physical danger. The narrator is also dealing with the psychological weight of everything he's experienced so far. He's seen things that defy explanations, encountered beings that challenge his understanding of reality, and ingested substances that have altered his perceptions.
It's like he's on this accelerated spiritual journey, and his mind and body are trying to keep up.
And all of that culminates in this incredibly tense moment where he actually considers attacking his guide. He picks up a bar iron ready to strike, but then something stops him.
Yeah. It's a pivotal moment because it shows the depth of his inner turmoil. He's literally at war with himself, torn between his fear and his desire to keep going.
And it's a testament to the power of trust, right? In that moment, he chooses to believe in his guide, to surrender to the unknown, even though it terrifies him.
And that act of surrender is what allows him to finally take the leap. He jumps into the abyss, not knowing what awaits him, but trusting that somehow he'll be guided through it.
Okay, but seriously, what happens next? Does he plummet to his death? Does he sprout wings and fly?
Well, the author describes this incredible sensation of floating, of being carried through a luminous atmosphere. And as they descend, the guide explains that they're actually passing through layers of energy, each with its own unique properties and effects.
Layers of energy. This is where things start to get really trippy, right? We're moving beyond the realm of physical reality into something much more esoteric.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because the author doesn't shy away from the scientific implications of these energy layers. He describes them in almost technical terms, talking about their density, their vibrational frequency, even their effects on the human body.
So it's like he's grounding these mystical concepts in a framework that at least feels partially scientific, even if it goes beyond our current understanding.
Right. He's not just saying, oh, there's magic energy out there. He's trying to provide a framework for how these energies might work, how they might interact with the physical world.
And how do these energies affect the narrator? I mean, he's literally traveling through them, so something's got to be happening, right?
Well, he describes feeling lighter, almost weightless. And his breathing becomes easier, as if the air itself is becoming thinner, more rarefied.
So it's not just a visual journey, it's a physical transformation. His body's actually changing as he moves through these different energy layers.
Exactly. And these physical changes seem to be accompanied by mental shifts as well. He describes feeling a sense of calmness and clarity, as if his anxieties are fading away and his mind is becoming more focused.
I can see how this could be interpreted as a kind of spiritual cleansing, a shedding of the weight and worries of the material world as he descends into this more ethereal realm.
And the guide reinforces this idea by explaining that as they move further from the material world, the narrator's mind is becoming more attuned to subtler forms of energy and knowledge.
It's like he's being prepared for something, right? But I have to ask, even with this newfound calmness, does the narrator ever get scared again? I mean, they're hurtling through the abyss towards who knows where.
Oh, absolutely. He still experiences moments of doubt and fear, especially when he starts encountering these strange images projected onto the energy fields.
Images? Like what? Is he seeing ghosts? Aliens?
Not quite. He describes seeing scenes from his past, images of people he knows, even visions of historical events. It's as though his memories and the collective history of humanity are somehow embedded within these energy layers.
Whoa. Okay, that's next level weird.
Yeah.
It's like the universe itself is a giant hard drive storing all of our experiences and memories.
And his guide explains that this is just a glimpse of the vast knowledge and wisdom that's accessible to those who can transcend the limitations of the physical world.
It's both fascinating and terrifying, right? The idea that everything we've ever experienced, everything that's ever happened, is somehow stored in this cosmic archive. And that maybe, just maybe, we could access it if we knew how.
It definitely challenges our understanding of time and memory. And it also raises the question of whether we're truly in control of our own thoughts and perceptions, or if we're constantly being influenced by these unseen forces.
I'm starting to see why the author called this the unknown country. It's not just a physical location. It's a state of being, a realm where the boundaries between the physical and the metaphysical start to blur.
And as the narrator ventures deeper into this unknown country, things start to get even stranger. He begins to experience these vivid, almost hallucinatory episodes, likely a lingering effect of that narcotic fungus he ate back in the cavern.
Oh, right. I'd almost forgotten about that. So it's like the deeper he goes, the more his grip on reality starts to slip.
Exactly. He sees monstrous creatures, hears disembodied voices, and gets caught in these nightmarish scenarios that test his sanity and his resolve.
It's like his journey into the unknown country is also a journey into the darkest recesses of his own mind.
And it's interesting because it raises the question of whether these experiences are real or just projections of his own subconscious fears and desires. I mean, is he actually encountering these things, or is his mind creating them?
It's a classic mind trip. And I imagine it's pretty terrifying for the narrator not knowing what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that pushing the boundaries of consciousness can be dangerous. There's a risk of losing yourself in the process of getting lost in the maze of your own mind.
So it's like a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked knowledge seeking. But does he ever break free from these psychological trials? Does he ever find his way back to some semblance of reality?
That's where the story takes another fascinating turn. He encounters this group of beings who are trapped in a state of perpetual intoxication, their bodies and minds distorted by the effects of some kind of powerful elixir.
Oh, wow. So it's like a cautionary tale within a cautionary tale. A warning about the seductive power of escapism, of seeking bliss through external means.
And I think it's no coincidence that the narrator encounters these beings after experiencing his own psychedelic episode. It's like he's being shown the potential consequences of losing himself in altered states of consciousness.
It's a pretty stark warning for sure.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the fine line between exploring expanded states of awareness and getting lost in them.
And as the narrator witnesses the suffering of these beings, he starts to realize the importance of facing reality, even when it's painful or challenging. He sees that true freedom comes not from escaping the world, but from engaging with it fully, with all its complexities and contradictions.
So he's learning a valuable lesson about the importance of balance, right? The need to find that middle path between seeking knowledge and preserving your sanity, between exploring the unknown and grounding yourself in the present moment.
Exactly. And as he navigates these challenges, we see his character evolving. He's no longer just a passive observer on this journey. He's an active participant, making choices that will determine his fate.
It's like he's graduating from student to initiate. He's not just absorbing knowledge anymore. He's applying it, integrating it into his being.
And as we'll see in the final part of our deep dive, this integration culminates in a profound encounter with the embodiment of Etidorhpa itself.
Okay, I can't wait to hear about that. I'm dying to know what this mysterious realm actually is and what kind of wisdom the narrator receives from this encounter.
We'll have to save that for part 3, but I can tell you it's an ending that will stay with you long after you finish reading the book.
I'm ready to be mind blown. Let's dive into the final chapter of this incredible journey. We're back and ready to unravel the final mysteries of Etidorhpa. Last time we left our narrator in a pretty precarious position, facing psychological trials and confronting the dark side of knowledge-seeking.
It was a stark reminder that the pursuit of enlightenment, of pushing the boundaries of consciousness, isn't always a smooth or pleasant ride. There are risks involved, both internal and external.
Right, it's like he's being tested, pushed to the very limits of his physical and mental endurance. But amidst all this chaos and uncertainty, there's still that glimmer of hope, the promise of Etidorhpa, this mysterious realm of peace and tranquility.
And after navigating those intense challenges, the narrator finds himself in a grand hall surrounded by a swirling mass of humanity. It's described as a cosmic dance, with everyone moving in this intricate, synchronized pattern.
Okay, now I'm picturing a giant rave in a cathedral with a disco ball made of stardust. It sounds like a scene from a mystical vision or maybe a really good acid trip.
Well, the author definitely uses vivid imagery to evoke a sense of awe and wonder, and the narrator is drawn into the center of this swirling mass, where he's greeted by a figure who appears to be a perfect specimen of humanity. Handsome, well-dressed, and radiating a sense of calm and authority.
This is where I start to get suspicious. It's like, okay, who is this guy and what's he selling? There's got to be a catch, right?
Yeah, and you're right to be suspicious. This figure offers the narrator a drink, a special elixir that promises bliss and enlightenment. But here's the twist. Those who refuse to drink are condemned to death.
Whoa, talk about a high-stakes ultimatum. It's like a cosmic game show where the grand prize is enlightenment and the consolation prize is, well, not so great.
Exactly, and it puts the narrator in an incredibly difficult position. On one hand, he's been through so much, faced so many dangers, and this elixir is being presented as the ultimate reward. Who wouldn't be tempted by the promise of bliss, especially after enduring such hardship?
Especially when the alternative is death. But on the other hand, he's already experienced the negative effects of that narcotic fungus, so he knows firsthand how dangerous altered states of consciousness can be. It's like he's learned his lesson about blindly following temptation.
Right, and this time the stakes are even higher.
Yeah.
So he's faced with this agonizing choice: surrender to the promise of bliss, even if it means giving up his free will, or stand firm in his convictions and risk everything.
What does he do? Does he drink the Kool-Aid?
He doesn't. He stands firm, declaring that he won't drink the elixir even if it means facing death. And in that moment of defiance, something incredible happens.
Okay, I'm holding my breath. Tell me everything.
The entire scene transforms. The grand hall disappears, the swirling mass of humanity vanishes, and the narrator finds himself face to face with a being of extraordinary beauty and grace.
So it was all an illusion. Test.
Seems so. And this radiant being reveals herself to be Etidorhpa, the embodiment of love, beauty, and wisdom. She explains that the narrator has passed the ultimate test by resisting temptation and choosing the path of integrity.
Wow, talk about a plot twist. It's like he unlocked the secret level by refusing to play by the rules. It's a powerful message that true strength comes from within, not from external sources or shortcuts.
And Etidorhpa goes on to reveal some profound truths about the nature of reality, the power of love, and the interconnectedness of all things. She explains that the material world is just a small part of a much larger, more complex reality, and that human beings have the potential to access this larger reality through the cultivation of love, compassion, and wisdom.
It's like a glimpse into a higher spiritual dimension, a realm where our limited earthbound perceptions are transcended. It's a concept that's found in many different spiritual traditions, the idea that there's more to reality than meets the eye, that there are hidden realms of existence waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And Etidorhpa's teachings challenge the narrator and us as readers to reconsider our assumptions about the universe and our place within it. She suggests that we're all part of a vast interconnected web of energy and consciousness, and that our thoughts, emotions, and actions have a ripple effect on the entire cosmos.
So it's not just about personal enlightenment, it's about recognizing our interconnectedness and taking responsibility for our impact on the world around us.
Precisely. And this interconnectedness has profound implications for how we live our lives. If our actions have consequences that extend far beyond our immediate sphere of influence, then we have a responsibility to act with awareness, compassion, and a sense of the greater good.
It's like that old saying, what goes around comes around. But on a cosmic scale, it's a sobering thought, but also empowering.
Right.
Because it means we have the potential to make a real difference, not just in our own lives, but in the world as a whole.
But Etidorhpa's teachings aren't all about cosmic responsibility and heavy philosophical concepts. She also emphasizes the importance of joy, beauty, and the simple pleasures of existence.
Right. It's not all doom and gloom and interconnectedness. There's room for fun, too.
Exactly. She reminds the narrator and us that life is meant to be celebrated, and that we should find delight in the wonders of the natural world and the richness of human connection.
It's a beautiful reminder that even in the midst of challenges and suffering, there's always something to be grateful for, something to appreciate. It's about finding that balance between the light and the shadow, the joy and the sorrow, the profound and the mundane.
And after this profound encounter, the narrator is mysteriously transported back to the surface world. He finds himself standing on a vast desert with no memory of how he got there.
Wait, so he's just dumped back into reality with no explanation? Talk about a rude awakening.
He's left to grapple with the implications of his experience, wondering if it was all a dream or a glimpse into a hidden reality. And he goes through periods of doubt and confusion, even experiencing some pretty intense physical and psychological challenges as he tries to reintegrate into the world he left behind.
It's like coming back from an incredible vacation and having to face the realities of everyday life. The laundry, the bills, the traffic. Except in this case, the vacation was a mind-bending journey through the center of the earth. And the realities he's facing are the fundamental questions of existence.
Exactly, and it highlights the challenges of integrating profound spiritual experiences into our everyday lives. It's one thing to have a glimpse of a higher reality, but it's another thing entirely to live in accordance with that vision.
So it's like he's been given this incredible gift, this glimpse into the true nature of reality, but now he has to figure out what to do with it. How does he make sense of this experience? How does he share it with others without sounding completely crazy?
And that, I think, is the challenge that Etidorhpa presents to all of us. It's a call to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of consciousness, but also to find ways to integrate those experiences into our lives in a meaningful and practical way.
And to hold on to that sense of wonder, that spark of the divine, even in the midst of the mundane.
Exactly. And as we reach the end of our deep dive into Etidorhpa, we're left with a sense of mystery and possibility. The narrator's story serves as both a warning and an inspiration, a reminder of the potential dangers of seeking knowledge without proper guidance, but also a testament to the transformative power of facing our fears and embracing the unknown.
It's a journey that leaves us with more questions than answers. But I think that's part of its allure. Etidorhpa challenges us to expand our understanding of what's possible, to question our assumptions about reality, and to embark on our own journeys of discovery.
And perhaps like the narrator, we might find that the most profound truths are often hidden in the most unexpected places. Perhaps they're not hidden at all, but right in front of us, waiting to be seen.
This has been an amazing deep dive. If you're intrigued by what we've explored today, I highly recommend checking out Etidorhpa for yourself. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking Holep.